The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
This is News Talk.
Hello there, you're welcome along. So it's Tuesday evenings Off the Ball. Busy show. Tara Sullivan this hour from the Boston Globe. She's going to tell us about Brady against Belichick at the weekend. It was pretty interesting on a few different fronts. Don Stradley is going to join us after 8 o'clock. At 35 years on from Hagler-Hearns, one of the great fights, he has written a fantastic book charting the rise of Hagler, the rise of Hearns, the fight itself. It's called The War, 3 rounds for the ages. We're going to chat to Don after 8, and then between 9 and 10, Damien Delaney on the football show Loads to talk to him about 53106 text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Richie McCormack, hello to you. Hello, Richie.
Joe.
There we are. Have you now? You can hear us?
I kind of need you.
Very good. We got you now, loud and clear. And Johnny Ward here in studio. Hello.
What's going on?
Hagler-Hearns, iconic. I just asked you there if you'd watched it. You never had?
No, I'm not particularly a boxing man.
That's all right. Richie, have you?
I've only seen flashes of it here and there. I've never actually sat down to watch the full thing, which is criminal because I know, like, one of the great advantages of YouTube and like the World Wide Web as it is that like all of these full fights are out there. If people kind of wanted to watch them and dip back into history, it's not like it's really difficult to go and watch an old football match in full if you were so inclined. But thankfully, a lot of the elite boxing that was around in the 70s and 80s in particular is very much out there and viewable. But this is, by all accounts, and I know our own Ronan Mullen is the boxing aficionado, and there is the classic or one of the classics of its age.
I have to confess, up until very recently as well, and I watched it again, having read the book, I hadn't either. And yet it's funny, Hagler-Hearns, Richie, it's sort of in the lexicon and was instantly as well. Like in the book, Don Stradley writes this great book about it. He says, like, almost immediately after this fight, you know, he cites everything from like Michael J. Fox in one of the late night TV shows, chat shows, and talking about his next movie. And he was asked, you know, what kind of style are you after, or what do you want from it? And he was saying, I want it to be like Hagler-Hearns, you know, as a byword for just action-packed and, you know, edge of your seat stuff. And to this day, it would still be referenced all the time. What I didn't realise about this fight before I watched it, you just assume when something is an instant classic and iconic that it's going to be the full 12 or 15 rounds. It changed around that time. And actually, it's just a mere 8 minutes. 8 minutes of your time on YouTube and you will see just the most ridiculous 8 minutes of boxing that you're ever likely to see. It's just all out war. There's not a let's feel each other out here for 30 seconds even. It's just straight in war for 8 minutes.
Yeah, like that was the brilliant thing about it. And there was that era which continued, I think more so in the UK, I think in the early 90s with the generation of Eubank and Ben. And I was lucky enough to see a lot of those fights on the air, free to air on ITV back in the day. That like, they were not afraid. There was no tactical feeling out. There was no, well, let's, you know, give this a round or two and we'll kind of see where each other is at. They go in there, Hagler-Hearns, hell for leather, determined to essentially knock the other guy out and to get this over with in as short amount of time as is humanly possible. And it doesn't suffer for it because a lot of those fights that you would see that have that outlook would be scrappy, you know, they might go on longer than that actual time limit, and both fighters would become gassed and would be wheezing, and you know, the fight would then dip in quality. But Jesus, like it's just top notch all the way through.
Originally billed as The Fight, referred to afterwards as The War, so it was just billed as The Fight.
Yeah.
Which 1985. Wow.
Two interesting characters as well. So Marvellous Marvin Hagler, who I think Eddie O'Sullivan got in to speak to the Irish rugby team, by the way.
Wow.
I had that in my head. He came to prominence in the 70s, middleweight champion, but felt very underappreciated, felt there was a disconnect with him and the fans. He wasn't a star, and he really wanted to be a star. So he was actually a bit of a chip on his shoulder, a bit fed up, just was desperate to fight Sugar Ray Leonard, who retired before he got to fight him. And then he fought him eventually, but at that stage he was bitter because he was like, I never got my shot at Sugar Ray, and you know, I'm not getting the money I should get, I'm not getting the appreciation I should get. He didn't know how to be a star, and that was Hagler. So that's kind of an interesting character. And then Tommy Hearns, he got a lot pretty early on, a lot easy. He did get to fight Sugar Ray age 22, got $8 million for it, the kind of money Hagler wasn't getting, and then kind of just lost his way a little bit, and was a man about town and was buying exotic animals and just a bit restless and losing his way. And I think, according to the book, he was just doing it because, well, that's what boxers do. I better buy a cougar, that kind of stuff. And he got himself back on track. He fought Roberto Duran, and brilliant knockout. He had this great right hand, and so he got himself back on track. And then this fight comes up in '85 in Vegas, and afterwards, forevermore, it's iconic, and they're iconic with it. So there's so much good stuff in this. It's brilliant.
What exotic animal would you procure if one were to?
Oh, that's the question, isn't it,
Richie?
Oh God, I don't know. You see, people always go for snakes, and I've always described I know people with snakes, and I always describe that as being a personality deficiency rather than owning a pet, because what's a snake do? But you'd have to go full Tiger King, really, wouldn't you? You'd have to go for something that might be a little bit on the outside, a bit vicious and a bit animalistic and a bit terrorizing, but ultimately is a bit warm and cuddly, like an animal version of Roy Kent from Ted Lasso.
I would take a giraffe, Johnny.
A giraffe?
Oh, good call.
Yeah, it'd be interesting trying to house it, but where would you put it? They're absolutely massive.
In the garden, Johnny.
I'm presuming if I'm buying the giraffe, I'm not still living in my particular house.
Yeah. Well, with all these awards you're winning,
I've upgraded.
Who knows?
I presume I'll move house before I get the giraffe.
I saw there's a guy that lives not that far from me who's apt to walking a ferret at night.
Oh.
And I just found this is so weird, Richie. And it's a long story, but I know where the guy works, and I accused the guy who I knew working there was his ferret. And he said, no, it's the fella out the back. So he brought him out, and he goes, oh yeah, I just have to let the ferret out at night because he gets a bit ratty if he's kept indoors. But then the kids want to go up and pet him, and I was like, what kid would want to pet a ferret? And he's like, oh, the ferret it'll give you a little lip as well. And I was like, what is this? It's a ferret, just being on a leash going down a Dublin 6th Street. I was like, what is that? And then I eventually, through my barber, I found out where the owner lived, and I eventually got the story of the ferret, which actually was a lot worse than the image of the ferret. Just this thought of having a nip at little kids as they went about their business. They're not particularly nice animals to look at.
The great thing is now everyone in Dublin 6 is like, oh yeah, the ferret guy listening right now.
Well, there's a guy around Dublin, Dublin 9 would be, who has a parrot. Who brought it out for a walk. I saw the other morning. We were over at one of the lads was playing a match, and they're just wrapping up and heading back towards their bottles and their gear bags, and turned around and looked over at the soccer pitch where St. Kevin's boys do a bit of training, and there's a bloke who's walking along towards the goalposts with a big green parrot on his shoulder. And it's subsequently, if you discover that he has this parrot, I think it's one of its feet is on a little rope or a chain, something like that. So he basically would go over and stand near the centre circle of the football pitch, and the parrot would go off and fly off, do a loop, sit in the goalposts, come back down and sit in the shoulder. And, that's a standard Saturday for this dude, which is, and I don't think he's a professional boxer either, but, he's the parrot guy of D9.
Well, Tommy Hearns,
the parrot and the ferret ever meeting, actually.
Well, I mean, that would be something. Tommy Hearns was bitten by his cougar at one stage on his hand.
I mean, if you buy a cougar, I mean,
who hasn't been bitten by a cougar?
Incredibly cool animals, but
sometimes the owners of these animals make the mistake of thinking that they're friends.
They're pets, yeah. Nature and nurture and all that, but yeah.
Well, there you are. Strangest animals in your vicinity, please. 53106. Let's find out what's going on out there.
No humans.
No, we should start the news round, which is, as ever, with thanks to Gillette. Put your best face forward with their new and improved razors. Ireland away to Azerbaijan on Saturday. The build-up is beginning. Richie, players speaking to media today.
Yeah, a lot of support for Stephen Kenny from the squad this week. Matt Doherty spoke to Irish Football Fan TV saying that he wants Kenny in the long term. And Callum Robinson also says he wants the manager to keep the Republic of Ireland manager's job for as long as possible. The squad preparing for Saturday's World Cup qualifier away to Azerbaijan. Ryan Manning is the only injury concern. He's been sent for a scan on a sore ankle. Kenny's still seeking a first competitive win of his tenure, but Robinson says the manager still needs time and has hailed his work on the training pitch.
For instance, you could have the basic 5-0s and a bit of shape and a bit of set pieces, but these, when we're doing your possession drills and stuff like that, isn't just a small box. We do that as like a warm-up, small box with two in the middle, but now we're doing possessions, as in it's structural to what we want to do on Saturday. So the level of the coaching has been really good, and as I said, for the long term and for the teams now in the Premiership and the Championship, this is where it's going, and we need to stick by it. And as I said, I've been enjoying every moment since obviously the gaffer's come in, because you're always learning, and as a player you always want to be learning, and learning not a different way, because a lot of managers are doing it, but a way of playing football and how to get out and how to break down the team. It's been really good.
He could be an important player on Saturday. Was excellent in Serbia, and then has just had a very interrupted campaign, and COVID seemed to factor him out of a couple of games in the last window, so you suspect he will start if he's anyway fit on Saturday. Stephen Kenny was talking as well, Rich.
Yeah, he was also asked today in terms of tactics if the players are able to take on board what he wants them to do.
We've learned a lot in the last year ourselves. Obviously my first game was last September, and we've put together sort of a staff of over 20 people, and we're all working better now than we were 6 months ago, and I think collectively preparing the team, the players are getting a greater understanding of what we're trying to do, and I feel that we'll be winning games soon. I think we want to try and have a good window this window. We want to go to Azerbaijan. We know we'll have to earn everything out there, like their home record is. They don't give up, don't make it easy. We know in the last campaign when I looked at the result, they drew with Croatia, for example, out there. So I knew before the campaign they won't get anything easy in Azerbaijan, but we want to go and win out there, and that's certainly our ambition that that we want to achieve.
Yeah, Johnny, given the 1 win in 16 situation is fairly fraught from an Irish point of view, Azerbaijan away does look tricky. At the same time, they are 117th in the world rankings, and I was reading today, in their last 22 games and counting, they haven't scored more than 1 goal. So
was this Ireland or Azerbaijan?
Yeah, we have to put Azerbaijan in context as well. You really do feel here it's Azerbaijan away. Qatar at home on Tuesday, is a great opportunity to win at home, and then Portugal at home in November, and Luxembourg on the 14th of November away. Certainly the Azerbaijan game and the Luxembourg game, really for Stephen Kenny to kind of sign off with some kind of confidence that would inspire. You're looking at 6 points there.
Yeah, but what percentage chance do you think we have of winning those 2 games, for argument's sake? Because I have a reasonable figure in terms of what the actual bookmakers assess our chances against Azerbaijan, and you can speculate then from the Luxembourg game. It's roughly 20% that we win both those games. So it's very unlikely. But I would prefer to look at it and say, take 1 game at a time. Take away the cliches. Forget about the Luxembourg game. Let's see where we're at against Azerbaijan. I don't think we've any particular excuses going into this game. I think we've been generally poor against weaker opposition. We resorted to a lot of old school football in the Azeri game at home. We were awful against Luxembourg, but I'd give us a bit of a pass in that because it was just a weird game and a weird window going into it, nobody at the ground and all that. But we've no excuses. The weather's not going to be terribly bad. In many respects, I think we're better off away from home, the way teams will come out and play against us. I fancy us to win, but I don't think, I don't want to be putting pressure on dead rubber games being must-win games in the overall scheme of things, but I think we've no excuse against Azerbaijan. That's quite simply it. That we've essentially a fully fit team. He can more or less play he can play 3 at the back, he can play 4 at the back. He has more options on the wing now, and we still obviously are lacking players up front, but we don't really have excuses, and that's why I think everything that Stephen says, people can maybe say yeah we'd agree with that, but as has been written, win games like this.
Yeah, I think it's at that point, Richie. I'm always loath to say, oh well, you have to win a game, because obviously you could play terribly and get an OG and win 1-0, and it doesn't actually mean things have improved. What I would say in this situation is things are definitely improving, and you could see in the Serbia performance versus, say, the Luxembourg performance, things had improved massively and they're getting closer to their best team. But I suppose if you're looking to a contract extension and Euros qualification and to give Kenny and his team that trust, I guess what you just need now, 16 games in, is a sign or two that a bit of pragmatism when it's needed to win games is there, and you can trust that is there, because at the moment you're still very much working off the ideal that they're working towards, and that would make you a bit jittery before you commit for the Euros.
Yeah, the one thing that jumped out at me today and yesterday in terms of what Bazunu was saying yesterday in his press conference, what Matt Doherty was saying in that interview, and then Callum Robinson today, it's not like they're being asked, do you have full faith in Stephen Kenny and what he's doing? And the answer is yes. They obviously were going to support their manager, but they volunteer a lot more information about what's going on behind the scenes and the positive work that they see that he's doing on the training pitch and in terms of matches as well. But the caveat to that I would put is that the emphasis seems to be on how they're playing. And you just want to see that little bit of, nastiness is the wrong word, but a bit of pig-headedness about getting a win is something that you'd like to see instilled in them. That I'm not saying that Kenny should put overriding pressure on them, but there should be a sense that there are stakes at play here. You know, that this isn't just a dead rubber, that this isn't just Azerbaijan, that the game on Tuesday isn't just a friendly against Qatar. Like that, these things actually matter. You want to see an element of jeopardy put into play by the manager, because I think that would up performances even more than we've already seen, especially against teams like Luxembourg and Azerbaijan, because the game away to Serbia, the game at home to Serbia, the game away to Portugal, they almost speak for themselves. You don't necessarily need a team talk. You just need to go, we've prepared how we've prepared. This side are really, really good. If go out and give a good account of yourselves. And, they probably will and obviously have done in those games, even if they haven't won them. But this time around, you kind of feel that there needs to be a bit of an edge put on the players to go out and put away Azerbaijan. It's doable. Like, they don't give away too many home defeats to Azerbaijan, but it's certainly doable. And fingers crossed, from everybody's point of view, that it actually comes to pass on Saturday.
And speculating there was a fairly low base as well in terms of, certainly before Mick McCarthy. I mean, I doubt the training sessions were unbelievably, out of this world or revolutionary. The only problem that Kenny has is that international managers, it's kind of, essentially their remit is to get results. It's a short window and it's like results. And he's taken on the world, really. He's taken on a project to change Irish football in terms of what it is, its image, and the problems go far deeper than the international team. So, unfortunately, he's probably lucky in one sense that 80% of people seemingly want him to keep the job after a very poor win record. But obviously you do need results, and this is a no excuses game. They're coming in fresh. They've had plenty of time to train. It's not the third game in the window. They've hardly any injuries. They're playing a team that aren't much good. They should just win. There aren't excuses.
Yeah. Ush Bosch said he turned on the radio on Twitter. Just turned on the radio. I was looking for some context. There was none, but the lads are chatting ferrets and parrots this evening. Yes, we were. Tommy Hearns, who we're talking about after 8 o'clock, fought marvellous Marvin Hagler.
There's a very obvious context
ago.
Here.
Yes.
How could you not get the nexus?
We were chatting Tommy Hearns before that, who had bought a cougar. Bitten by the cougar indeed, but he bought some exotic animals. He didn't know what to do with his 8 million before fighting Hagler again. He was a bit lost. And then Johnny started talking about somebody in his area who walks a ferret. And then Richie mentioned some bloke who has a parrot and he'd go to football matches. And now the text messages are flooding in.
Troy Parrott. I mean,
girl used to bring an owl to the pub in Wexford, says somebody. There you go.
An owl?
Look, Harry Potter fan. Owls are everywhere now.
They're beautiful animals.
I know, yeah, but I think
owl.
Even there was a time where J.K. Rowling had to come out and appeal to people to stop buying owls as pets. Like, they're not good pets. And
Where does one buy an owl?
I know it worked for Harry Potter and
buy
everything.
an owl? Lidl or Aldi, I presume.
I'd say there was a black market for them after Harry Potter. Spoiled kids looking for an owl.
Black Market Owls. That's a great name for a band.
And trying to train the owl to deliver letters. Like, you can imagine the carnage.
Bish Bosch is delighted with this.
I live outside, I live beside the canal. Used to bump into a lad who'd walk a fully sized hog on a lead up the canal, as you do. Somebody says the ferret can provide a cure for whooping cough. Used in Galway to this day, says Joan in Galway. Joan, I don't not believe you, but at the same time, anybody
More
listening,
details.
do check with a medical practitioner before you indulge in
How
a
does the
ferret.
ferret... I mean, how?
I don't know, does it lick you? I don't know.
You lick it?
Neither is particularly appealing.
Lads, why are you even attempting to guess the result in Azerbaijan? You know already it's going to be 1-1, says Brendan in Leakslip. I know, that's the worst part of this.
Absolutely fair.
Well, Moba Bidele's country, I believe. Leakslip, isn't it? So
yes, it is,
he's
yeah.
hopefully going to become a local hero as well.
Yeah, no, it sure is. So, Ulster representative on AM this morning talking about the future for the GAA. I'm not surprised this view is in Ulster, Richie, because their provincial championship does work just fine.
Yeah, they're the one working shop in a failing shopping centre, essentially. Ulster GEA, the secretary and CEO, Brian McAvoy, says he's opposed to a league-based All-Ireland Football Championship. A majority of intercounty players are believed to support Proposal B at the upcoming Special Congress, which will see the championship played on a league basis if adopted by delegates there. Proposal A sees the championship structured around 4 18 groups, loosely based on a provincial basis, but some teams will be switching provinces, and either option requires a 60% backing at this Special Congress. But speaking on this morning's OTB AM, McAvoy claimed the numbers, as far as he's concerned, associated with Proposal B don't add up.
But the third issue that hasn't really been discussed at all, now to me it's not the key issue by any means, no, the key issues are the ones I've just spoke about, is the whole finances of it. Because at the minute, in 2018, for example, 2019, the last year that we had the
Super 8s.
Before COVID, the last normal season, shall we say, the GA Football Championships took in just over 18 million, 18.2 million euro. And that's without the provincials, without the provinces. The Alliance Leagues took in 3.5 million in those. The league money actually goes back to the counties. Now, there has been no debate, to my knowledge, to say, what would happen to the league championship? How will that money be divvied up? Also, I talked about the 39 games being reduced to 9 plus 14 Tailteann Cups. So I am quite certain the general income for Central Council, for counties, and of course provincial councils, but their championships are been effectively so badly diluted, that there will be less money in the central pot. I am quite certain if these proposals go through, Proposal B, the overall revenue, the GA in 2019 talked about a record profit year. They'll not be talking about it under the system if this goes through. Absolutely. So, I'm surprised that there hasn't actually been any debate on the finances. But to me, it's akin to turkeys voting for Christmas.
Yeah, it's an interesting insight into where some people will be coming from in this debate. We'll have our own one on the evening show in the next week or so. Loads of good stuff on AM on this at the moment. Rich, do you want to bring us a last story or two?
Yeah, John Mahon has urged decision makers to do the right thing and adopt a league-based format for the championship. Delegates, as I say, voting on those proposed changes at Special Congress later this month. Mahon believes the current system has got to change. Dennis Leamy, meanwhile, confirmed today as Leinster's new skills coach. The former Munster back row has been working as an elite player development officer with Leinster for the past 2 years. Meanwhile, Jordan Larmour is in contention for Saturday's lunchtime meeting with Zebre. He's recovered from a groin injury sustained back in the summer. And Connacht head coach Andy Friend has accused his Bulls counterpart Jake White of being ill-informed, while White described the Western Province as a team full of Leinster players looking for better deals. He also criticised the sports ground pitch following their 34 points to 7 defeat to Connacht on Friday night. Friend hit back at White's comments, saying they showed a lack of respect. Meanwhile, new Connacht signing Titi Tuimoga is expected to be available come December. The Samoan prop gives Friend further options in the front row following a long-term injury sustained by Dennis Buckley.
Hang the DJ who's watching on YouTube. Does anybody think Will Keane is going to be our messiah up front? Yeah, Will Keane playing League One football, as unfortunately far too many Republic of Ireland internationals are at this stage. I was reading an interview with him in the Sunday Times at the weekend. To be fair, highly rated brother of Michael, obviously. I think twin brother.
Twins playing for different countries must be a first. Now, maybe there's a South Korea, North Korea thing. I don't know, or anyway, in fact, that wouldn't have happened. But anyway,
the Xhaka twins, the Xhaka brothers playing for Switzerland and Albania, and then you have
that is a good shout.
And ironically,
the Boatengs playing for Ghana and Germany.
Richie, just a minute.
You're on fire there.
Me there.
Ironically, growing up, Will was involved with England underage, Michael Ireland, and then they've switched at senior level, which is maybe a sign of their fortunes as well. So
that just sums up Irish football.
To be fair to Will Keane, you could think of rejected and trundled down the leagues. He has had a horrendous number of years with injury.
Big time.
I think he's done cruciate a couple of times. Was obviously incredibly highly rated at Manchester United growing up, and I think he was playing. It was in a senior game for Manchester United where he had his first terrible injury, which really halted his progress, and he was without a club for a year or two relatively recently, and is now back with Wigan and has scored a couple of goals this season, quite a few goals this season, I think, by Irish standards.
He's 4 or 5,
and is injury free for the first time in a long time. So there is a chance.
It might. So you're saying there's a chance. It might be a Stephen Kenny,
masterclass,
picking up one of these players that was basically I could have been a contender, and a lot of that talent, that latent talent, is still there. He actually is quite interesting. He was like, Kenny was at a game where he saw 3 players, I think, that were either sort of on the periphery of Ireland or eligible for Ireland, or last week, so it was Sheffield Wednesday, and Keane was playing, and that's where you're at. It's League One, but we can't look down on that now, because the Championship's a very good standard, and like League One isn't great, but that's where we're at. We don't have strikers playing the Premier League, and he might surprise a few. He just might. It'd be a great story.
Yeah. Now, we can't rely on him to save the day against Azerbaijan or Luxembourg or Portugal, but let's see how it plays out.
I just hope that we play football, because we've, as much as we've played bits of football, like the goals we've gotten have been from an agricultural era. There hasn't been anything.
No, the only good goal in the whole era, if you take away the Andorra match for a moment, but the only good goal in competitive football really was the Brown goal from the Robinson cross.
And I mean, like, that was a nice goal, but like, it wouldn't be on a highlight show reel either. It was a nice goal. That's how low the bar is. Like, we haven't scored a decent goal in a long, long time.
No.
And we spoke about that as if it was like one of these kind of goal of the season contenders, when in fact it's just like the bar is that low. We're expecting it to go in off Shane Duffy's head or an opposition player's arse, basically. That's where we're at. So hopefully we've a striker who just might nick a goal, and the Keane one is interesting, because as you say, there was that latent quality back in the day.
You're in on Sunday, I think, with myself.
I tentatively agreed to that, but I guess I'm all in now. Yeah.
What else are you doing, Johnny? Come on.
I was actually, one of your colleagues, Adrian, was inviting me to do a duathlon. So I haven't turned him down, but I'm turning him down now live on air. Something in Kildare.
Oh yeah, on the Sunday.
I think so.
Okay.
Just goes to show you it's a bit of fractured structure here. People are being kind of hauled in, hauled out.
All I can say, it will be warmer in here. I'll make you coffee across the day. We'll talk about Ireland the night before. I'll leave it with you.
Problems are over.
Yeah.
You literally never made me coffee on a Sunday, John.
Look, I'm desperate here.
You work from your bedroom now. I mean,
I know, but like, I'm talking about back in the day. Like, I'm being given a vision.
I'm trying to entice him in. I'm obviously not going to make him coffee once he comes in, but I just got to get him in first. We're out of time. Richie, thank you.
God bless all the parrots, Joe.
Indeed. Johnny, I'll see you Sunday.
See you Sunday.
Now, competition time.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's cash machine.
So we opened the lines this morning for your chance to win big cash with our new game, News Talk's cash machine. Today there was €6,543.21 in the cash machine. No winner. Person we picked at random and called didn't answer when we called just after 3 o'clock. So the €5,678.09 rolls over to tomorrow. We'll be topping that up with even more cash. Tune into News Talk Breakfast tomorrow morning to find out how much you could win. We're talking Hagler-Hearns after 8 o'clock. We have Damien Delaney with us for the hour after 9. And next up, Tara Sullivan is going to chat to us about Brady Belichick at the weekend.
The News Round on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
Clear Mobile has 99%